Welcome to True Crime Case Files, where we delve deep into the most chilling and bizarre murder cases. In today's episode, we uncover a scandalous and deadly story of betrayal and hidden identities. A wife's trans identity is exposed after a secret affair with her stepson comes to light, ultimately ending in murder. Join us as we explore the shocking details of this case, where deception, family betrayal, and violence collide in a fatal outcome. Milton Haverford was a man well known in Cedar Rapids for his charm and work ethic. At 42, he was the manager of the local Ace Hardware, where he earned a solid reputation for his leadership. But life hadn't always been easy for Milton. His first wife, Millie, had passed away after a long battle with breast cancer, leaving Milton a widower just 3 years before his own tragic death. Milton's devotion to Millie was clear to everyone who knew him. During her illness, he was by her side at every doctor's appointment, hospital stay, and chemotherapy session. As her condition worsened, Milton took on the role of her primary caregiver. He worked long hours at Ace Hardware, but always found time to be with her. He emptied his savings and even took out loans to cover her medical bills, driving himself into deep debt. Friends at the local church often commented on how much of a toll the illness had taken on Milton, both emotionally and financially, but he never once complained. After Millie passed, Milton was left in a state of deep grief. He became withdrawn, focusing on his job and trying to manage his debts. It wasn't until he met Tara that he began to come out of his shell. Tara, 37, was a former military officer who had served in Afghanistan. They met at a local community event for veterans in early 2012. Milton admired her strength and determination, and the two quickly grew close. By the summer, their relationship had blossomed into a whirlwind romance, surprising many who knew Milton for his usually cautious nature. Just a few months after meeting, Milton and Tara married. Their wedding, held at a small local church, was a quiet affair, attended by close family and friends. While some thought it was too soon, Milton seemed genuinely happy for the first time since losing Millie. However, Milton's son, Brad, wasn't as supportive of his father's new marriage. At 23, Brad had idolized his mother and struggled to accept Tara as part of their family. Brad worked alongside his father at Ace Hardware, stocking shelves, but their relationship had become strained over the years. He felt neglected and often voiced frustrations about not being promoted to manager, despite his hard work. The quickness of Milton's marriage to Tara only deepened the rift between father and son. Though Milton did his best to balance his responsibilities at work and at home, the undercurrent of tension with Brad was undeniable. It was a family struggling to find its new normal after years of heartache. Sadly, it would all end in a shocking death. On August 21, 2012, a horrifying accident unfolded at the Cedar Rapids Municipal Water Park. It was a sunny afternoon, and the park was packed with families enjoying the final days of summer before school started. Milton Haverford, 42, had decided to spend the day relaxing at the park, which was a popular destination for locals. One of the park's main attractions was the Thunder Plunge, a towering water slide that promised a thrilling, high-speed ride. The slide, known for being one of the tallest and fastest in the region, often drew long lines. Milton, a thrill-seeker in his own right, was looking forward to the ride. As he neared the bottom of the slide, tragedy struck. Unbeknownst to park officials, a thin wire had been deliberately stretched across the slide's exit. When Milton reached the end of the slide, the wire sliced cleanly through his neck, beheading him instantly. His body slid into the shallow pool at the slide's base, while his head remained at the top. It was a gruesome and shocking scene. A lifeguard on duty, 19-year-old Sarah Gibbons, was the first to spot Milton's body floating in the pool. At first, she assumed it was a freak accident, a mechanical failure of some kind. She blew her whistle and immediately called for help, but it wasn't until staff and paramedics arrived that they realized the horrific truth. The park was evacuated within minutes as authorities began investigating what had happened. Parkgoers who had witnessed the event were shaken, many unable to comprehend how a seemingly fun day at the water park had turned into a scene of horror. When police arrived at the Cedar Rapids Water Park on the afternoon of August 21, 2012, their initial assumption was that Milton Haverford's decapitation was the result of a tragic accident. The park staff believed a mechanical failure on the Thunder Plunge water slide had somehow caused the deadly incident. Paramedics were already at the scene, having evacuated the park and secured the area around the slide. As Milton's lifeless body lay in the pool, officers tried to make sense of how a fun day at the park had ended in such horror. Park employees, including maintenance staff, were interviewed immediately. No previous incidents had been reported on the Thunder Plunge, and it was regularly inspected for safety. Investigators initially considered the possibility that a faulty component had come loose, but the scene soon raised doubts. As investigators took a closer look at the slide's exit, they noticed something out of the ordinary. The slide itself was clear, but it appeared that a thin, nearly invisible wire had been deliberately set up at the bottom of the slide. The wire was sharp enough to cut through flesh, and based on its placement, it was positioned precisely where Milton's head would have been as he reached the end of the ride. This discovery turned the investigation from a tragic accident to a criminal case. Detectives theorized that someone had carefully attached the wire to ensure it would slice through the victim's neck, making it appear as though the decapitation was caused by the ride's high speed. The wire's thinness and transparency explain why no one had noticed it earlier, especially in the chaos and shock of the initial moments after the accident. Cedar Rapids police began to comb the area for more evidence. They examined the slide structure, looking for any signs of tampering or tools left behind. Meanwhile, crime scene technicians took detailed photos and measurements of the wire and the surrounding area. The investigators also gathered security footage from the park, hoping to find clues about when and how the wire had been installed, and most importantly, who had done it. What had first seemed like a freak accident was now being treated as a premeditated murder. Detectives were tasked with determining who would have the motive and opportunity to carry out such a calculated and gruesome crime. Tara Haverford, born Derek, had spent much of her life hiding her true identity. From a young age, she knew she wasn't comfortable in her own skin, but growing up in a small, conservative town made it difficult for her to express her feelings. Instead, she followed the path laid out for her. She joined the military, served in Afghanistan, and maintained a stoic, disciplined image. Tara kept her transgender identity a closely guarded secret throughout her military service, even managing to avoid detection during physicals and psychological evaluations. By the time she returned home on leave in 2011, she had fully transitioned, yet no one in her life, not even her husband Milton, knew the truth. Tara had married Milton Haverford shortly after returning from Afghanistan. Milton, a widower grieving his first wife's death, had been drawn to Tara's strength and resilience. They quickly married, and she became a stepmother to his adult son, Brad. Throughout their relationship, Tara was careful to keep her past hidden. She was determined not to let anyone know about her transgender identity, especially in the conservative circles she and Milton socialized in. When detectives questioned Tara about her husband's gruesome death, she appeared calm, almost detached. She expressed shock over the incident and claimed to have no idea how something like this could happen. But as the interrogation continued, Tara pointed police toward an unexpected lead: her half-sister, Tiffany Hughes. Tara told investigators that she suspected Milton might have been having an affair with Tiffany. Tiffany, 39, was known for her troubled behavior and a reputation for causing problems within the family. She had a history of drug abuse and had spent time in jail for dealing. Tara believed that Milton's relationship with Tiffany had gone beyond brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and hinted that Tiffany's unstable personality could have played a role in his death. This information piqued the detective's interest. Tara's accusation suggested a potential motive for Tiffany, especially given Tiffany's chaotic lifestyle. However, police were also beginning to focus on Tara herself. Her calm demeanor during the questioning stood out, as did her quick shift to blaming someone else. Investigators began to wonder if Tara was hiding more than just her feelings about Milton's possible infidelity. As the investigation continued, Tara's hidden past and secret identity became a significant factor, though it wasn't yet clear how much it related to the crime. What was clear was that Tara's carefully constructed life was starting to unravel. Tiffany Hughes had a reputation in Cedar Rapids that most people tried to ignore. Known for her wild behavior and troubled past, Tiffany was no stranger to local law enforcement. Police had frequently found her in compromising situations, most notably outside the community college. On several occasions, she had been caught naked, attempting to seduce both students and faculty. Her actions were erratic and disturbing, leading to multiple arrests. Tiffany's brushes with the law didn't stop there. She had an extensive arrest record for drug dealing, often selling substances to young people in the area. Despite these red flags, Tiffany always seemed to slither out of serious consequences, serving short stints in jail but never receiving lengthy sentences. Her chaotic lifestyle had alienated her from her family, but she still managed to maintain a twisted connection with her brother-in-law, Milton Haverford. Tiffany had been secretly extorting Milton for years. She had discovered Tara's transgender identity before Milton did and used this knowledge as leverage to manipulate him. Tiffany's relationship with Milton went far beyond blackmail for money. She coerced him into a sexual relationship, threatening to reveal Tara's secret if Milton didn't comply. The extortion had started small, with Tiffany demanding cash here and there, but over time it escalated. She used Tara's secret as a tool to control Milton, making him feel trapped and ashamed. Tiffany's slow unraveling of Tara's identity added to Milton's stress and confusion. He was left trying to protect his marriage while being pulled into a toxic relationship with his unstable sister-in-law. When police brought Tiffany in for questioning, she showed no remorse. Her behavior was erratic, much like the person they had dealt with many times before. Tiffany made it clear that she felt constantly judged by others, especially by Tara, for the choices she had made in life. She resented Tara's seemingly perfect image as a strong, disciplined military veteran. In Tiffany's eyes, Tara was everything she wasn't: respected, put together, and admired in the community. Tiffany's anger and bitterness only grew over the years, and her relationship with Milton became another way to lash out at Tara. As police dug deeper into Tiffany's life, her motives became more complex. While her resentment toward Tara was palpable, investigators weren't convinced that Tiffany was responsible for Milton's murder. Her chaotic and unpredictable behavior made her a suspect, but something about the careful planning of the crime didn't match Tiffany's usual impulsive, reckless actions. Nevertheless, Tiffany remained in the police's sights as they continued piecing together the disturbing puzzle of Milton's death. As the investigation into Milton Haverford's gruesome death progressed, police uncovered a disturbing new layer to the case. Hidden in the digital trail of text messages, emails, and photos, a darker secret emerged. Tara Haverford, Milton's wife, was engaged in a secret affair with none other than Milton's son, Brad Haverford. Brad, 23, had always had a strained relationship with his father. Despite working at Milton's Ace hardware store and wanting to follow in his father's footsteps, Brad felt overshadowed and underappreciated. Milton's refusal to promote Brad to a managerial position had driven a wedge between them. That frustration, paired with the stress of Brad's own young marriage, created tension that pushed him closer to Tara. What started as innocent conversations about life and shared frustrations soon developed into something far more intimate. Tara, 37, was fresh from her time in Afghanistan when the affair began. Brad, feeling trapped in his domestic life with a baby on the way, found escape in the arms of his stepmother. Tara, hiding both her transgender identity and her emotional scars from military service, was drawn to Brad's admiration and attention. The affair continued in secret, hidden behind carefully coded messages and private meetups, while Milton remained unaware. The police uncovered evidence of the affair while reviewing Tara's phone. Text messages between her and Brad showed the pair exchanging flirtations and making plans to meet. Photos confirmed the affair was not just emotional but physical. Investigators were shocked by the revelation, realizing that Milton's home life was far more complex and troubled than they had first thought. This discovery shifted the direction of the investigation. The secret relationship between Tara and Brad introduced a new motive, one driven by desperation, guilt, and fear of exposure. The tangled web of family secrets became a crucial factor in solving Milton's murder. Brad Haverford, 23, had grown up idolizing his father, Milton. He admired Milton's work ethic, dedication, and success at running the Ace hardware store in Cedar Rapids. As a teenager, Brad had spent weekends helping out in the store, sweeping floors, stocking shelves, and learning the ropes of the business. However, as he grew older, that admiration turned into frustration. Despite his years of hard work, Milton refused to promote Brad to a managerial role. Brad had expected to move up in the family business, but Milton seemed unwilling to hand over any real responsibility. This growing tension created a rift between father and son. Brad felt undervalued and stuck in his position, stocking shelves while watching others around him get promoted. Adding to his frustration, Brad's personal life was also in turmoil. He was married, and with a baby on the way, the pressure of domestic life weighed heavily on him. He felt trapped, both at home and at work. It was during this period of frustration that Brad became increasingly drawn to Tara, his stepmother. What started as casual conversations soon evolved into something more. Tara, who was also struggling with her own secrets and emotional burdens, offered Brad an escape from his everyday troubles. Their relationship turned into a secret affair, with the pair hiding their illicit interactions from both Milton and Brad's wife. The affair remained hidden until police stumbled upon it during their investigation into Milton's death. While examining Tara's phone, they found a series of text messages between Tara and Brad that revealed their relationship. Flirtatious exchanges and plans to meet in secret were laid bare, as well as photos that left no doubt about the nature of their relationship. The police confronted Brad with the evidence, and under questioning, he confessed to the affair. Brad admitted to feeling trapped in his marriage and increasingly dissatisfied with his life. He saw Tara as a means of escape, someone who understood him and offered comfort during a difficult time. The discovery of the affair added a new dimension to the case, revealing the complexity of the relationships within the Haverford family and providing a potential motive for the crime. As the investigation into Milton Haverford's gruesome death continued, police began to focus on his wife, Tara Haverford. What initially appeared to be a tragic accident was starting to look far more sinister. The evidence began pointing toward deliberate sabotage, and investigators started piecing together a disturbing narrative of how Tara, with her military background, used her specialized skills to kill her husband in one of the most horrifying ways imaginable. Tara had served several tours in Afghanistan, where she gained experience in engineering and logistics. Her knowledge of explosives, mechanical systems, and sabotage tactics was extensive. When police looked deeper into the circumstances surrounding Milton's death on the Cedar Rapids water slide, they realized that only someone with expertise in covert sabotage could have pulled it off. This wasn't a random malfunction, it was a calculated murder. Investigators discovered that a thin, sharp wire had been strategically placed at the bottom of the water slide just before the exit. It was nearly invisible, positioned at the perfect height to decapitate Milton as he slid down at high speed. Forensics confirmed that the wire had been carefully installed, requiring both precision and timing. Tara's military knowledge of traps and how to set them in unpredictable environments was the missing piece of the puzzle. She knew exactly how to set the wire so that it wouldn't be detected until it was too late. But Tara, once a decorated military veteran, had no intention of facing the consequences of her actions. After police began closing in on her involvement in her husband Milton's death, she decided to flee. Tara's plan was simple: escape to Canada, where she believed she could disappear and start over. Knowing the authorities were piecing together evidence against her, Tara packed a few essentials, withdrew as much money as she could, and hit the road in the early hours of a late August morning in 2012. The Cedar Rapids police were one step behind. Once they realized Tara had vanished, an all-points bulletin was issued. Authorities across Iowa, Minnesota, and even Canadian Border Patrol were alerted to be on the lookout for Tara's vehicle, a silver Toyota Highlander. The race was on to stop her before she could reach the border. By the time law enforcement spotted her, Tara had already made it deep into Minnesota, speeding up Interstate 35. Local police and state troopers were quickly mobilized, forming a coordinated effort to stop her. A high-speed chase ensued, stretching across miles of highway. Tara, determined and desperate, pushed her vehicle to its limits, weaving through traffic and showing no signs of slowing down. The pursuit grew more intense as police vehicles closed in on her. Near the city of Owatonna, Minnesota, authorities set up spike strips in a last-ditch effort to end the chase. Tara's vehicle hit the spikes, causing her tires to blow out. She lost control, veering off the road and coming to a halt in a ditch. The police surrounded her car, guns drawn, ready for any resistance. But Tara, seeing no other option, finally surrendered. She was taken into custody, still shaken but stoic, knowing her flight had come to an abrupt end. For the officers who had been tracking her, relief was palpable. Tara's escape had nearly succeeded, but in the end, justice caught up with her. Back in Cedar Rapids, Milton's family, especially his son Brad, reacted with a mixture of disbelief and sorrow as the arrest made headlines. Their family's darkest secrets were now laid bare for the world to see. The trial of Tara Haverford took place in May 2014 and quickly became a high-profile case among true crime nerds on the internet. The prosecution was led by Assistant District Attorney Leonard Pratt, known for his aggressive courtroom style. Pratt aimed to portray Tara as a manipulative woman who would stop at nothing to protect her secrets. Throughout the trial, he argued that Tara's actions were driven by fear and desperation, stemming from her complicated life and relationships. In stark contrast, the defense was led by veteran attorney Susan Mendel, who took a calm and methodical approach. Mendel focused on Tara's background, emphasizing the trauma she experienced during her military service. She argued that the psychological strain of hiding her identity as a transgender woman and the emotional toll of her turbulent marriage had contributed to Tara's state of mind. Mendel sought to appeal to the jury's sense of empathy, hoping they would understand the struggles Tara faced in her personal life. During the trial, Tara claimed that Milton had brutally abused her, insisting that she had only killed him in self-defense. She painted a picture of a man who had a violent temper, alleging that he would explode in anger. Tara suggested that she felt trapped in a life filled with fear and that she had no choice but to protect herself. However, the evidence presented by the prosecution contradicted her claims. Friends and family testified about Milton's caring nature, describing him as a devoted husband who was known for his kindness. After 3 weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. They found Tara guilty of first-degree murder. The verdict brought a mixture of emotions for Milton's family, particularly his son Brad. While they felt that justice had been served, it came at a heavy cost. The trial revealed the dark secrets of their family, and the loss of Milton weighed heavily on them. Tara was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The case left a lasting impact on the community, sparking discussions about domestic violence, mental health, and the challenges faced by transgender individuals. Despite the outcome of the trial, the scars left by Milton's tragic death would linger for years to come. After the trial of Tara Haverford concluded, the lives of those involved took dramatic and tragic turns. Tara, now serving a life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole, faced the consequences of her actions. She was placed in a correctional facility known for its strict rules and security. In prison, Tara struggled to adapt to her new environment. The reality of her situation weighed heavily on her, and she often reflected on the choices that had led her to this point. Tara's story became a cautionary tale about the complexities of identity, relationships, and the impact of hidden secrets. Meanwhile, Tiffany, Tara's half-sister, faced her own tumultuous life. Known for her erratic behavior and legal troubles, Tiffany became involved in a series of risky encounters. One fateful day in late 2014, after a brief and impulsive sexual encounter at a Burger King restroom, Tiffany was murdered. The details of her death shocked the community. She was found in a nearby alley, and it was later determined that she had been attacked by a stranger. Her death was ruled a homicide, leaving many questions unanswered. The tragedy highlighted the dangers faced by individuals living on the fringes of society and drew attention to the issues of safety and violence. Brad Haverford, deeply affected by the events surrounding his father's death and the revelations about his family, sought to find a new path in life. Struggling with guilt and remorse, he made the decision to join the military as a way to atone for his family's actions. In May 2015, Brad enlisted in the Army, hoping to find purpose and discipline. He was determined to serve his country and escape the painful memories tied to his past. Brad's choice to join the military was seen as an attempt to distance himself from the chaos that had engulfed his family. As he trained and served, Brad began to find some peace. The military provided him with structure and a sense of belonging. While he could never fully escape the shadow of his father's tragic death, Brad worked hard to forge a new identity. He hoped to honor Milton's memory by leading a life of integrity and responsibility. The impact of these events would resonate in the community for years, serving as a reminder of the complexities of human relationships and the far-reaching consequences of violence. This case shows how dark secrets hidden for years can tear apart even the most seemingly stable families. Stay tuned for more on True Crime Case Files, where we continue to explore the most chilling and unforgettable stories.